Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel on a cold, blustery, windy day around the country. Newcastle United blew it again, blew the chance to build upon the great result midweek against Liverpool. They've gone down 4-2 against Brentford, down at their ground. Exciting game. I had good, bad, and ugly parts of it. I'm going to get right through it in a minute. Talk about the game, talk about where it was lost, talk about the highlights that we had, won many of those, but talk about the issues as well. And there is quite a few of those, to be fair. We're going to get stuck right in. If this is the kind of thing you like, smash subscribe, come and join us, get to 9K. I think we're only 10 away, actually, so we might even get to 9K live on this video, which would be brilliant. It's going to be a quick one tonight because I have got to dive off and do things on Saturdays. I'm going to go and teach Fabian Scher and Dan Burn and Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall how to defend. That's what I'm going to do. It'll take me longer than half an hour, I guarantee you. But yeah, get stuck in the live tonight, guys. Let us know what you guys think about the game. Let's get stuck in. So this is how we lined up today down at the Brentford Stadium. What the hell is it called? Is it Vitality G? Is it the G Stadium? I don't know what it's called. Their ground. That's what I'm going to call it. But that's how we lined up today. Some questionable changes, but anyhow, obviously Tonali and Gordon came out for Harvey Barnes and Sean Longstaff. Harvey Barnes certainly had an interesting game, suffice to say. But, the Brentford players, we all knew the threats from them was Wissa and Mbeumo. And for me, those two, I'll get into them in a minute. What an unbelievable pair of players those two are as well. Unbelievable, we'll get stuck right into the game then. So, the game started, we looked like we were up for it, nice, quick passing. The intensity was there. Isak looked up for it. The touch was good. The movement was good. Sean Longstaff crashes one off the post really early doors. And you think, oh, hello, we're right up for this game once again. And then really, really quickly after that, Bryan Mbeumo just gets the ball. And, we've been screaming to sign this kid for God knows how long. We're screaming about it in January. Sign him, sign him, sign him. And he showed us exactly the reason why we should be signing him on the 8th minute. When he gets the ball, it comes out to him, he gets the ball, he chops back inside. Lewis Hall, I like Lewis Hall, big fan of him. He's done really well at left back. And sometimes we forget he's a 20-year-old lad playing left back. And in moments like that, you're reminded of it. The same thing with Mo Salah midweek. You're talking about really good players here, to be fair. Mo Salah's one of the best ever. And Mbeumo was a really, really good player as well. So he kind of hesitates a little bit. He doesn't step out and quick enough. He stands back, gives him some room. He tucks inside. He can still have a couple of his teammates to help him out. They don't close him either. He then turns around and fucking melts in the top corner. An absolute screamer of a goal. And you're thinking, oh, my God, here we go again. Little bit of exciting play in the first 6 or 7 minutes, and then we're going to chuck it away once again. But we came back into it. Jacob Murphy played quite well today. Again, he grafted really, really hard. Jacob Murphy gets the ball. I think this is a shot. People say it's a cross. It's not a cross. It's a shot. This is Jacob Murphy, for fuck's sake. It's not David Beckham. And then he takes a shot. Alexander Isak, to be fair to him, lovely little cheeky header on the penalty spot. He is onside, goes into the back of the net, and you think, come on, this is it, Newcastle. Game on. It's a back-and-forth game. It's really exciting. They're coming to us. We're going to them. Nobody's sitting back. It's a little bit like Wednesday night. Again, it's like another FIFA game. And then out of nowhere, Harvey Barnes just decides to play a complete blindsided pass across the pitch and to nobody, really. Nobody in a retro maroon and blue shirt, and it goes straight to Wissa, who's another top player. He gets the ball. It's a brilliant finish, to be fair. Dan Burn doesn't know whether to stick or twist, and he just bends it into the top corner. They're then 2-1 up, and you're thinking, well done, Harvey Barnes. Fucking hell. And Harvey Barnes looked physically pissed off about that because he knew it was a stupid mistake. And then it was almost after that goal, Harvey Barnes was just completely re-energized, and he almost wanted to get rid of that mistake single-handedly. He was running the players, he was committing them, he was toppling inside, he was putting balls across the box, and you're thinking, oh, hello, Harvey Barnes has woken up here. He's really trying to do something. Still can't quite get that shot off because people seem to be scouting that. The minute he tucks inside, the double up, there's 2 of them on there. That's good management by likes of Thomas Frank and others as well, since Harvey Barnes scored his last raker from 20 yards. But it goes into the box. It's a lovely little ball again from Jacob Murphy, tucks it inside. Lovely little touch and roll. Very similar in a way to what Salah did to his midweek. Harvey Barnes tucks into the bottom corner, and we're 2s each. Absolutely incredible, to be fair. So we're going half-time, 2s each, and you're thinking, right, Newcastle, you've played well. There's been some good moments of play. You had a couple of little wobbles. Let's go on to it. We were pressing them. We really should have been ahead in that game. Isak, my God, how could I forget? Isak jumps and poaches the defender, nicks the ball off him, rounds the keeper, and you're thinking, that's a goal. We're in front. I think this was even before they scored their second, potentially, or just after. And he then fucks it up. He pisses around with it too much. The keeper manages to get back. Barnes is screaming at him because you've either got to score Isak or you've got to square it, and he does neither. He looked really up for it tonight, Alexander Isak, but he also looked a little bit over cocky. And that particular moment was an over cocky moment from Alexander Isak, and that cost us the lead, I think, going in at half time. So I don't know what happened at half time, because we came out and we were nowhere near as good. And Brentford came out and they went at us, and we didn't seem to have an answer for it. Defensively, we look lapsed, we look shaky. Their third goal is a fucking embarrassment. It really is. The keeper just melts it up the pitch. It was like an FA Cup goal. Up the pitch, flick on, comes through Nathan Collins, side foots in the bottom corner. Defence is nowhere to be seen. I don't know what's going on with the centre half, so I'll get into them in a minute as well. It's in the back of an FA3 too. You think, what the fucking hell is going on, Newcastle? A little bit of huffing and puffing. After that, we had chances. Tonali misses a head at the back stick. We should head it down. A couple of other chances as well that we really should have had a better execution on as well. We just don't do it. And then just to rub salt in the wounds, they bring on Kevin Shader. Again, shit defensive play. I think Kieran Trippier is boxing into the corner. Again, Bruno tries to overplay. Did that too many times for me tonight. When Bruno overplays, puts pressure on, loses the ball. It worked well on Wednesday. Got away with it. Didn't get away with it tonight. And then that man again, and when gets the ball, he tucks it inside the shade and he puts the ball in the back of it. And then Brentford have won this game 4-2. Newcastle now sitting in 12th in the league. And Brentford deserved this win, and all of these faults, there are fault, there are errors, there are problems, overplaying, fucking around, defensively completely disorganized. And this is what happens. If you make mistakes at this level defensive, if you fuck around with the ball too much at this level, you are going to get punished in the Premier League by teams like Brentford, who've got a great home record, and that's exactly what happened tonight. So let's get some of the comments up here, guys. We'll be talking. Chibbers jumped in with a super chat. Thanks, Chibbers. 2 wins and 10. Eddie, please do one with the Kool-Aid drink as your game manager. It's embarrassing, pathetic. We could be 13th by April. We probably will be, Chippers. And again, the question marks do go back to the manager. And people do ask the questions about the manager. He sets the team up. He made those changes. He can see the game fading. There was tired legs again, and he didn't make those changes. He brings on Kieran Trippier for Lewis Hall, who actually, after the Mbeumo goal, had a really good game. He handled Mbeumo quite well. He got closer to him. He got stuck into him. And Mbeumo went drifting off to the wing and played through the middle, because he couldn't get much change out of Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall had some lovely passing in that game, slipping through balls into people, and he hooks Hall off for Trippier. I thought Tino was terrible today. I thought his touch was bad. I thought his attacking play is non-existent. He gets anywhere near the box and he gets a fucking nosebleed and tucks it back inside of Bruno. Supposed to be a modern-day attacking fullback. Doesn't drive to the byline and get a ball in. Doesn't get into the box. I thought Tino was poor, and Tino doesn't get taken off. Hall does for Trippier, and Trippier just did nothing when he come on as well. And Trippier looks aged out, as does Fabian Schär. Byrne is a good, solid, hard defender, and when you're playing him up against a proper old-fashioned number 9, he's great. Players with movement, little dynamic players with movement and pace, like Wissa and Mbeumo, Shader. Byrne's that's not his game. He's not going to be doing that. He really, really isn't. George is saying 2 points from 12. That's not great. I fucking knew this was coming. We've got a new member, and Dan Robson. Thank you very much, Dan, for joining the party, mate. Terry is saying, really starting to question how now we're sitting 13th in the league. Absolutely abysmal. Dan also gave you a super chat. Thanks, Dan. How stubbornness lost us the game and willing to change the system. Just change the players and hope for the best. He needs to change the system. We talked about this before, Dan. We did a video about this. Why not change the shape to 4-2-3-1? Ironically enough, Harvey Barnes gets the goal in that number 10 position, but he'll never play that. He doesn't seem to play that. We've got Genola says, if Howe says we played okay, my head will explode. You're right. We didn't play okay. We scored a couple of good goals. We conceded a couple of really good goals. But again, they were our fault defensively. We didn't close down and Mbeumo quick enough for the first goal. We should have known what a guy was going to do. We're supposed to be scouting the fucking lad for signing him every single transfer window. We should have known what he was capable of doing. Hall should have been shown clips of him time and time again and didn't do anything about it. And then Barnes has passed for Wissa. So they're definitely our fault there defensively, and it's not good enough. So Coyne is saying, can we have Mbeumo for Christmas, please? Thanks, Santa. Yeah, possibly. Never know. Maybe we'll get Thomas Frank and he'll sign Mbeumo. More of that later. Trevor saying, what costs us, Chris, is what always costs us. It's called Eddie Howe's half-time team talk. Ouch. And Christmas again, says Dexterous. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it makes you wonder. It really, really does. I mean, Marcus is even saying how out. He's never said that before. Wow, Marcus has jumped the fence. You've got to start asking the question, as Graham says there, the game management was woeful. The game management is non-existent, Graham. In a game like that, when Brentford are really strong at home, They've got that pace, they've got that kind of energy. He's not making any changes to nullify it or change the game. Possession-based football, make them run themselves tired and then hit them on the break with Isak or Gordon. He's not doing anything like that. And as I've said this a few weeks ago, and I don't think this was the worst performance that the Newcastle's put in by any stretch, right? But it's just frustrating and it's amateurish. You're looking at the players on the park, you're looking at the errors, and you're thinking this is preventable. Newcastle shouldn't be doing this kind of a thing, and I'm not going to blame Sean Longstaff if anybody gives me the shit in the comments. I thought Sean had a steady away game today. I really did. I thought in the first half in particular looked good, but he disappeared in the second half because he's not able to get in the ball and do anything about the game in a game like that, because that's not his game, But I just think, for me, when a game's slipping away from you like that, you have to make positive changes. He had changes on the bench that he could have made, and he made changes, but he made them and just stay with the same system. What's the point in bringing on Trippier, who's aging out, Wilson, who's aging out, Miggy, who's going backwards? What's the point in bringing them three players on and playing in exactly the same system as three better players than them weren't operating very well in? I just don't get it. I really, really don't. Insanity with the super chat. Thanks, Insanity. I don't know what to say about this club right now. I want Eddie to succeed, but I'm getting sick of stuff like this. Going to support Gateshead, Eddie out. Well, you'd be more pissed off because then they actually get promoted and can't get back through. PJ James said less of the cooking videos and more time learning about the basics needed. I did see that, to be fair. But to be fair, the cooking video looked really funny, and Emil Francis was doing it. I love Emil to death. He's an absolute top lad, so I'm not going to slag off the cooking video, but I will talk about Eddie Howe's tactics. NUFC saying no plan B again, no excuses. Absolutely, there is no plan B. I'm starting to question whether there's a fucking plan A, to be honest with you. Tim C saying we have to realise we are totally inconsistent. We definitely need some squad players in January. I think we need improvements on the starting 11, Tim, is what we need. I just think, for me, good comment there from John. Bruno's not a captain. I don't believe with the English thing, John, to be fair, because Bruno speaks better English than I do Portuguese. But I see your point in terms of, I don't know if he's a captain material, because he gets too distracted in games. He gets too caught up in it. It's great when he's pumping the crowd up for free kicks and corners and penalties and stuff like that at St James's Park. But away from home, that doesn't quite work. I mean, Brentford were doing that at their own fan base today, and it was working for them. But I just look through that team, and you look through that team and you think to yourself, the club or the manager or a combination of both have really missed a trick here on a few of these players. Nick Pope has not looked the same since those injuries. He doesn't catch the ball at times when he should do. There's an issue with him diving to his left, people are talking about. His distribution is still dog shit. Yes, he's a good shot stopper. I'm not blaming Nick Pope for the goals, because I think the two of them are snorters that should have been closed down. And the third one's really bad defensive play. It's past him before he even moves. And then the fourth one, what's he going to do with it? The kid's one-on-one. He's picked the spot. Nothing he can do about it. So I'm not blaming him for the goals, but there's other games that we've lost or drawn where Nick Pope has maybe been at fault for some of those goals, and we haven't improved in the goalkeeper. Our goalkeeper catalogue is like the raggy dolls of goalkeepers. There's been good keepers out there that we should have got. I was to go back to Mamadashvili at Valencia. He signed pre-terms for Liverpool. We could have done that because we need a long-term replacement for Pope. I'm not sure Tino is as good as a lot of us think he is. Yes, he's got pace and he can get himself out of trouble by tackling and stuff like that, but he's terrible at going forward. He's not good enough going forward. Lewis Hall on the opposite end, defensively can be naive, but brilliant going forward. Defensively, he's got a lot better, but he still has some way to learn. The centre-backs, that back four to me needs Sven Botman. That's what that centre back needs. It needs Sven Botman, and it also needs a decent right-sided centre half with a bit of speed. It can smell danger alongside him. I would take Mark Wahey alongside Sven Botman come January. I think that would completely sort that defence out. Dan Burn has been really, really good for us this season, but we haven't been good as a team. So the fact that Dan Burn has been good for us tells you how bad we've been as a team, because we've had to defend more than we've attacked. And that is the problem. Fabian Schär is aging out. I'm sorry, guys. You don't want to admit it. He is. He scored a brilliant goal midweek against Liverpool, but defensively, he's aging out. Positionally, he's off the pace. Speed-wise, he's off the pace. Decision-making, he's off the pace. He goes for that silly long-distance ball all the time. It's been scouted by people. He gets us in more danger than he gets us out of danger at the minute. And that's what worries me about Fabian Schär. That's why they've been looking for a right-sided centre-half, because they know Schär is aging out. But going to the Euros has completely accelerated his kind of fatigue as a player. Yes, he's retired from national duty, but he's totally going backwards as a player for me. And I think we should move them on and get a better player or get a younger player in the January transfer window, because that is key. Great question, Garth. Where the fuck is Louis Miley? That's a great question. I've talked about Louis Miley so many times. We're looking at that bench, and we need some kind of creativity. We need someone to find, those defence splitting passes to do something, especially when Bruno's a little bit off the boil. And who we've got on the bench? We've got Matt Targett, Kieran Trippier, Callum Wilson, Mickey Almiron. What are they going to do? They're not going to do that. Louis Miley can do that. He keeps playing him in the under-23s, and Matt Targett is the biggest waste of a fucking squad space I've ever seen in my life. He sits on that bench and he's doing fucking nothing. He's offering nothing. What's the point in having three defenders? He's got Lloyd Kelly, Trippier, and Targett all on that bench. What's the fucking point, Eddie? That's wrong. Get Louis Miley in that matchday squad, for the love of Christ, and have another option off the bench. Shehan Hurry, a fan from New Zealand. Good to see you, mate. 4 a.m. kickoff here. Wow. Dedication, mate. Well done. We've been playing this way for the past 18 months. Surprise, surprise. We've done absolutely nothing to address it. We haven't, mate. We haven't. And Paul Mitchell's going to have a lot of work to do. I was watching the TOON review before. I love the TOON review, guys. As you know, we're all great friends, the two channels. But Alex was talking with real confidence about, what Newcastle are going to do in terms of their scouting and all of that. He's got way more confidence in this new setup than I have, because I don't know what the fuck Paul Mitchell's doing. I certainly don't know what James Bunce is doing, because the players don't look any fitter to me. They don't look any more robust. There's still injuries there. And so I want to know what this new performance guy is doing behind the scenes, because to me, it looks like jack shit. So, yeah, big questions need to be answered there. Never mind the stack, never mind the commercial deals and all this other bollocks. Talk about what you're doing with the playing squad, with the playing numbers, the fitnesses, all that stuff. What you're doing with it, because I'm not seeing a fitter team there at all. I'm certainly not seeing a team that's focused enough to stay in games, hold on to leads, or stop conceding sloppy shit goals like they are now. As Marco says, defence was woeful, Pope was crap, Linton was awful, Cher was having I couldn't give a fuck day. But this is the problem with Cher. He's been a bit too nonchalant at the back, and he's getting caught out all of the time. And this is why we need to upgrade him. We absolutely do. Another one, PJ, saying defence is horrific this season. Playing in front of the world's shakiest keeper probably doesn't help. The thing about the defence used to be one of our biggest strengths, and now it's one of our biggest weaknesses, because they're aging out. We have not improved that defence. Sven Botman is the right age and has the quality and the ability. And Sven Botman walks back into this team when he's fit. No doubt. I don't want to hear any argument about, well, Dan Burn's been great. No. Sven Botman walks back into this team. But for me, they've got to go out in January and they've got to get a good right-sided centre-half. Doesn't matter if it's Mark Guehi or somebody else. Get a right-sided centre-half with pace, who can smell danger, who's good on the ball, and will stop conceding sloppy shit goals like we've conceded today and all season, because we need that sorted ASAP. It's great to see Isak kind of back at it, but again, someone used to pull Isak and say, stop being so fucking cocky. When you do the keeper and you round him, put it in the back of the net or square it to your mate. If I see you doing that again, I'll fucking hook you off the pitch onto the bench. But Eddie won't do that because he doesn't want to upset Isak. And I do wonder if some of these players even think Eddie's got the gravitas or the stroke to do that, because they think they're maybe bigger than the manager. Philip's saying stuck with Eddie with all the flack. However, I think that's it. His time could be up. He does look like a man under pressure. There ain't no doubt about it. And he is under pressure. We're 13th now. If we don't beat Leicester, I think we've got Villa after that, haven't we? If we end up 15th or 16th, I honestly do think they may pull a trigger here, because I just don't think he's got an answer for any of this. They're not going to be able to sign them 7 or 8 players in January, clearly. They're already peddling that we got no money line. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. So you're going to have to get somebody to get the better out of these players. Aaron's saying, I've not said the magic words, but the clock is definitely ticking along to doomsday. We want to be elite. Elite teams are ruthless, both on and off the pitch. We are not an elite team, Aaron. We're not an elite team, and we won't be an elite team until we can perform better in pretty much most of the games. There's no point in being brilliant against Liverpool, like we said midweek, if you don't turn up against Brentford. And we didn't turn up today. We didn't play well. We scored some goals. Yes, we've had some, nice little bits of play with the ball, but defensively, we were all over the place. We couldn't hold the ball. We kept losing the ball. Bad decisions time and time again from numerous players, senior players as well, who shone on Wednesday and were shite today in terms of the decision-making on the final ball. So that's why we won't be elite. Now, I do wonder whether these players are really, I don't know, Are they playing for this manager anymore? I do wonder. I really do. They put in a performance like Wednesday, and you think, well, they are. They put in a performance like today, and you think, I just don't know. I really don't. Graham TC Travels, good to see you in the comments, but he's saying, I can't believe we're skinned and have to buy. I have to sell to buy. Those above Eddie have a lot to answer, but no one in two windows yet again we're being told we need to sell before we buy. I mean, there's two ways to look at that, Graham. It's either Amanda Staveley ran this club horrendously bad, and we didn't realise that because we all loved how wonderful and warm and excited she was and everything else. And maybe just running the football club, she didn't have a clue what she was doing. Maybe that's what we're paying for the price. But if that's the case, come out and say that, right? No one's going to turn on Amanda and start burying her and slagging her off. They're going to go, oh, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But, there's players in that squad, though, Graham, that should be playing, should be in the matchday squad, like Louis Miley, who are already here, and he's not playing them. And that is the question for me. And I really do wonder what the hell he's doing there. Terence is saying, he said on TTR, January is such a hard market. It is, Terence, is a horrible market, but we need at least two players for me, 100%, the right-sided centre-half and the right winger. And if we have to sell to buy those players, wow, we are in trouble. Again, Tim C saying, no, shithouse you play on carded players. Potter was there for the taking, absolutely. Paul saying, has Asula got a work permit? I don't think anyone wants him to work, mate. They might have got a permit. Anthony saying it's time for Howe to go. He's had enough. Ben Arthur saying, let's be honest, the £450 million spent, but it was to cover for the last 14 years. I 100% agree with that. In the last 3 years, we've been to San Siro, Wembley, Parc de France, Yellow Wall. Let's be honest, we are being too hasty. I'm not sure we're being too hasty because once you set the bar higher, then the pressure goes. The pressure grows, and the manager has to step up to that pressure. The players have to step up to that pressure. We can't just go, oh, that's brilliant. We were there once, and it'll be years till we get there again. So you just keep carrying on regardless, Eddie. That's not how football works. If you have a good season, the pressure does mount. I've used this analogy before. Leicester City won the Premier League. Leicester City with Claudio Ranieri, and they sacked him. They won the FA Cup with Rodgers because they thought Rodgers was an improvement on Ranieri, and he was at the time. He got the players playing better. They won the FA Cup, and they sacked Rodgers as well because they didn't think he was the man to take the club to the next level. And that's what football's all about. People might not like it. People might crave the dynasties that were once there with Fergie and Wenger for 10, 15 years, but that's not football anymore. That's not the way it works. Football's very much, a smaller 3-year kind of bracket. And then if a manager is measured on the success of the 3 years that he's had, and generally he's measured by the last 7 or 8 games that he's had, and if you're not winning, 2 games in 10, you are under pressure. There's no doubt about that at all. And especially when there's good managers out of work, like Terzic, Allegri, Jose keeps flirting with this job. I mean, I saw him grabbing somebody by the collar and holding them back up the sideline the other day. He might even walk out of Fenerbahce if he thinks there's a chance of off the Newcastle job. But, Eddie's definitely putting pressure on himself. And the players are putting pressure on Eddie performing like that. Asset saying, while Mitchell and Co. sits on his hands and watch a spiral of decline. Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very much to be convinced by this lot. They're not doing anything to show me that they've got a plan. I really, really don't, honestly. And a lot to answer for. Sheehan again is saying, I've thought about this for a while in my best Gareth Southgate voice. We've not had a play remotely close to the Kabay type profile. Bruno is not it, unfortunately. But is that on the system? I loved Kabay. I really, not just because he was a handsome devil as well. What a player, man. But Bruno lacks that kind of nastiness as well, I think. He spends more time trying to win free kicks rather than, getting stuck into people. And I think that's where Kabay was better in that regard. Digital painting with Mark, that's a great, and that could be Mark's handle. That. Eddie is struggling. I'm not so sure none of the managers is any better other than the bounce. Yeah, possibly. There is an element there. I don't know. I said this. I don't know if there's a better manager out there right now to do better with the squad. If Tuchel was available, if Jose was available, if Potter was available, Ancelotti or something like that, for example, then you start thinking, hang on a minute, is it time to pull the trigger? But that is the question, is it better the devil you know than the devil you don't? But will he turn it around? I don't know. Is the season just going to bounce around like this? Is it going to be, brilliant midweek, shite Saturday, brilliant midweek, shite Saturday, brilliant Saturday, shite midweek? Is it going to be like that for the rest of the season? But one thing is for sure, at the end of the season, if we don't get European football, he's out. And I think the way we're playing right now, we're too inconsistent. We ain't going to get it. Merry Christmas to you too, Inconsistent. Really appreciate that, bud. It's certainly within the super chat. Where do you see us finishing? Almost like you read my mind there. I think we are going to finish. You're right, no consistency. I think we are going to finish 8th or 9th is where I think we're going to finish if we are lucky. 8th or 9th? Let us know in the comments, chat. Where do you think we're going to finish at the end of the season? Because, yeah, for me, I'm really, really not sure about the inconsistency. Yeah, Marco saying Pope needs to be replaced. I've got no confidence in him. I'd take the Liverpool goalkeeper, Kelleher, to me. He's not going to get a game, really, in terms of if Alisson stays and if Mohamed Ashley is signing for them, so he's not going to get a game for them next season. So I'd definitely take the Liverpool goalkeeper. I think he's a much better goalkeeper than Nick Pope is looking at the moment, to be honest with you. Just going through your chats, guys. There's loads of your chats here. Really, really appreciate that. Trevor's saying, how out, Chris? I'm getting very, very close to it. I said on What's Going On, I would sack him if there was a better manager available, and I stand by that. If there's a better manager available who can get us playing more consistently well, I would sack him. I would sack him tomorrow because I think his race is run. I think he's done. In many ways, it might sound crazy, but I think he wanted the England job because he maybe knew the pressure was mounting. Maybe looked at those players and thought, I can't get much more out of these. And FFP and PSR is hampering me. So if the England job comes, I take the England job. I leave it here. Everyone's all good. And some other poor fuckers, job to do that. But we are stitched up by PSR and FFP. There ain't no doubt about it. But I don't subscribe to what the other fan channels do when we lose games like that, when we're defensively weak. Then they just start wanting to blame accountancy spreadsheets. No, not for me. The players need to take responsibility, and the manager needs to take responsibilities for that. 100%. It's not all on the finances and the restrictions the Premier League put in place because they're shit bags. Rob Faraday saying, agreed, our problems are starting with the centre backs. Burn is great, but he's shot for pace and Shares become so sloppy. I mean, Botman just can't come back soon enough for me, mate. Really, really, really can't. Little reminder from Mark, we're only 5 subs away from 9K, guys. Can we get there tonight? Smash that button. Yes, if you're new in the chat, come on, guys, get us to 9K. At least we can get something to be excited about tonight. So just looking through the chat there, guys, bear with us. Potter says, Tomo, do you know this with Potter? I did like Potter when he was at Brighton, but I just what is he not too similar to Eddie? Is that not just swapping a vanilla milkshake for a chocolate vanilla milkshake, something that's just slightly got a little bit more flavor than the one you just handed back? I just don't know. I really don't know. I mean, he is a good manager and he's very clever. And I think the Chelsea job can chew anybody up. I think it chewed him up. I even said at the time he should never have taken the Chelsea job. But we just got to see, I just don't know if Potter would be an improvement or not. I don't know. That's a good question, though. Liam saying, I've already had a sad week with my nan passed away. I'm really sorry to hear that, Liam. And Newcastle has ruined my weekend after performance. So, mate, I've been there myself, mate. I lost my mum a couple of years back, and it hurts, Liam. It really does. The best bit of advice I got given was from a good friend of mine with that. And he says, you'll always miss the fact that they're not here, but when you get through your grief, as your grief kind of goes through, your first memory won't be the sadness that they're not here, it'll be the happiness that they were. So that was great advice he gave me. That helped me, mate. Hopefully that helps you as well, pal. But yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, but that's awful news. And awful news as well about Mikel Antonio, by the way. Thoughts to him and his family. That's awful what's happened to Mikel Antonio, if you haven't seen that already. Car accident today, and he could be really, really hurt. So yeah, really, really sad that for Mikel Antonio. So I hope he's on the mend very, very soon. Liam does say Potter is a sideways move as well. Trevor says no to Potter, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Absolutely. John Cook was saying same mistakes week in, week out. Eddie's panicking with subs, no plan B. I love what Eddie has done, but now it's time for change. I think that's key as well, John. I really, really do. I think that, nobody's ever going to say Eddie Howe hasn't been brilliant for this football club, because he has. He came in when we needed it. We were dreadful. And he turned us around, from being managed by a pub league Mike Bassett-esque manager to this new dynamic manager with new ways of working, with shape, with processes, with fitness, intensity, and all of that. And it was brilliant. But I think he's run out of ideas, and it might be time for another refresh. Northumberland Brock Hopper, let's face it, everyone, we knew that was coming. We kind of did, mate. We really, really did. And that's the sad bit about it. Really, really is. Ricky D saying it's not good enough. Mark Gahey is good, but he's not a monster, CB. This is the problem. Ricky, we're going to have to go big on those kind of players. And this is when the PSR and FFP thing comes. And but the club eventually just going to have to, say, right, if we want to fix what's on the pitch and get into the top 4, but we're going to have to breach it, and just, Villa might be the same. Just say, look, we'll have to fucking breach it and then just take whatever comes, really. And, that'll be it. So Peter Kelly's saying what we need, Chris, is a manager who understands different tactics and can read the game as it progresses. 100%. How scattergun subs indicate a man under pressure who's run his race. Over to you, PAF. That is very, very articulately put there, Peter. Very, very hard to argue with that. Yeah, George is absolutely with you as well, pal. Very, very difficult to argue with that. It's when the game starts to slip away, as Richard says, elite equals winner. And that's Jose Mourinho for me, Richard. I think, people turn their nose up at Jose. Jose's a winner. Jose's elite. Jose knows how to win games like that and close games like that off. And that's exactly what we need right now, because you can take your pretty football as much as you want. Yes, it's exciting to see and all that, but we ain't in the theatre. This ain't a movie. We're going to leave a review on this. This is football, and you need to win games. And sometimes you just got to be effective, and that's what Jose Mourinho's done well throughout his career. So I would take Jose 100%. Just trying to go through your columns there, guys. Bear with us. Scrolling right down, there's plenty here. Bill is saying, thank you for your kind comment in the TTR chat, Chris. Oh, thanks, Bill. Yeah, no worries at all, mate. It was lovely what you said about Paul as well, mate. I mean, that's awful that Paul had to put up with that level of shit from people. We've had some of that as well. And as I said, the people, the trolls who decide to come out there and bully people and have a go at people who are brave enough and creative enough to make content would never have the sack to do it themselves. So, yeah, fuck them. And I know Paul would say the same thing as well, mate. Liam saying what's happening is what Bournemouth fans warned us about. That was very true, yes. They did. Bournemouth fans did warn us about Eddie Howe's 3-year kind of malaise, I think, after that. And it is starting to come for that. Yeah, George is saying 10th to 13th, where we're going to finish this season. I mean, it is really, really difficult, guys. It really, really is. Graham's saying there the League Cup is going to be huge, probably our only route to Europe. But would you back us to win it? We bottled that as well at times, really. It is disappointing. As Sean says, you just can't trust the team. That's, it's really sad to say, Sean, but it's kind of right. Trans Events UK, how's time is done. There's a lot more people turning this way. There ain't no doubt at all about it. Kodan saying, can we tempt Inzaghi? Inzaghi, again, has got a good track record over in Serie A, but could he do it in the Premier League? I don't know. It is one of those things. It really, really is. Trevor's saying, my aunt died this year, Liam, and she basically raised me. The grief is tough, but remember the good. Oh, that's nice of you to say, Trevor. And thoughts with you as well, mate, about your aunt. It's always very raw, these things. You never get over them that quick. They'll creep up on you even when you think you're all right. I still get it now sometimes, Daniela saying, new member, best thoughts to Mr. Antonio. Yeah, thank you. As a West Ham fan, my thoughts are with his family. Thank you very much for your comments, Daniela. Yeah, it's awful that for Mikel Antonio. One of my friends actually had got smashed by a lorry on the motorway the other day. Thankfully, he was okay, but scary out there, guys. Drive safe. Be really, really careful out there. Trevor's for Jose. I think that is coming. Digital says Jose is toxic and ruins clubs, though. Georgia said Jose wins. It would be really interesting if we did get Jose. Could you imagine? Honestly, the amount of content would be produced over Jose. My days, honestly. Marco was saying Trippier didn't want the ball. His body language is terrible. Why did Howe put him on? I have no idea. I think Trippier's finished. I really, really do. I think he's had a lot of problems off the pitch as well, which has nothing to do with football. Stu says, realistically, what manager would want to come in such a financial restrictions? The plan of keeping a lid on Newcastle is working. That is very, very good point. Frank is saying Eddie's time could be up, but I don't think Jose is the answer. I'm not sure the club have got an answer. That's probably why they'll keep Eddie till the end of the season. Aaron's saying second half, shite. Very hard to disagree with that, Aaron. Graham saying Jose, not for me. It'll be an interesting one, guys. But thank you so much for all the comments there. Got to fly off because it is a quick one today. But thank you so much for all the chats, all the super chats, all the comments. Big love to you guys who have had rough weeks as well in Newcastle. Not made it any better. But, we will talk about all this on what's going on Monday night, Mark and I. So make sure you tune in for that, guys, at 9:30. Subscribe as well if you haven't already. Help get us to the 9K. And you could win the Retro Blue McEwen's Newcastle United shirt, which we're going to give away, which will be a belter prize. That'll cheer you up as well. But yeah, I'm sure the January transfer window will be on our agenda on Monday night, as well as how we sort this problem out and what needs to change, whether it's the players or the manager. But yeah, come back on Monday, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. Hopefully it's not too bad. Keep an eye on the channel. We've got loads of content coming. Have a belter, everyone, and we'll see you later. Take it easy.